fine, only because we fucking have to. Let's have a look at some ideas from the New Age movement which are patently false. First of all, the idea of DNA activation or DNA having anything to do with spirituality. Patently false. Okay, that's an obvious misuse of jargon right there. Okay, another idea it seems to be this idea of the brain generating your experiences idea. Okay, the brain does not generate your experiences. Okay, the brain processes sensory input in accordance with whatever stored information is already there. The information is not energetic. Okay, it's not energetic information. It's not spiritual information. Okay, it's a bit more difficult to describe than that. We won't go into it because it's dangerous. So let's talk about the difference between a BRAIN and a BRANE. Because the New Age movement doesn't understand that. Okay, so let's talk to those people, and also why inner child work is impossible if you're physiologically an adult. Why? Well, because you're an adult. Okay, so if you're dealing with the avatars and the Maras under the Bodhi tree, okay, to use the proper spiritual analogies, and quite possibly the transhuman agenda, then you're obviously not doing any child work, are you? Okay, you're dealing with something completely different. So, also, you already have to deal with the Avatar and the Maras to get the Zika will in the first place to be affected by the transhuman agenda, you fucking fools. So, everything else will qualify as curse work. Right? So, The point of the situation is a bit of passion going on there. So a BRANE, okay, is short for a membrane. MEMBRANE. What that refers to is a flexible substance that's used to keep your knickers up. No, that's not correct. What a membrane actually is a purported idea to describe the space between universes. Okay, so a universe, okay, let's explain this to New Agers, okay? They don't seem to understand. A universe is in your fucking head! Okay? A universe is okay? A galaxy is in a group of people, a planet is in your fucking head, a universe is in your fucking head! Okay? A planet, example of a planet is something that is Earth, which is not your mind! Okay, it is a rock, which is approximately 40,000 kilometres in diameter or circumference. Unlike your fucking head, which might have rocks in it. Okay, other planets are not the same size. Okay, planets orbit around stars. Okay. The local star is called the sun. Okay, suns are usually made up of really hot gas. How hot the gas is and what colour it comes out as and how big that star is varies considerably from region to region. However, you can just look outside to see the local one. It's pretty warm. Oh, what a surprise! It generates heat. Anyway, the solar system is approximately 150 to 250 astronomical units in length, radius, roughly, very, very roughly. That outer edge is typically defined as the heliopause, or the limit of the sun's gravity. One astronomical unit refers to the distance between planet Earth and the sun, or approximately 5 million kilometers. Okay? Or actually more, because it could be 3 million kilometers to the moon. We just forgot the number. Anyway, it's a really long way. Okay, so um, the solar system is one of many rotating around a black hole called Sagittarius A. The many solar systems rotating around Sagittarius A are in two arms, typically, are believed to be two arms, or bands of what's called the Milky Way galaxy. A galaxy, subsequently, is bigger than a solar system, okay? Not smaller, bigger. Okay, galaxies are plentiful in the Sagittarius supercluster, so named because that is the way that that's the direction their telescope was pointing when they decided to call that the name of the black hole. They just so happened to point the telescope through the constellation Sagittarius when they did so. What a surprise! Um, they just so they decided the supercluster of galaxies that the Milky Way is part of was called the Sagittarius supercluster. But that's not necessarily true, is it? Sometimes they call it the Virgo supercluster. Because it depends on where they're pointing their telescope at the time. Okay, so the point is there's a shit ton of fucking galaxies. Now all the galaxies put together, okay, apparently go back to a single point, okay. They all shrink eventually and run out of freaking rocks and shit and turn into little dust particles, okay, and eventually become atoms. And then at that point, it becomes the point of expansion, or also known as the Big Bang. That's what they're going with at the moment, okay? There was some kind of expansion where really small things started to spread out and then eventually started to clump together and became really big things. Yay, that was a long time ago. That's their working theory, okay? That is not your fucking head. Right. So let's try and sort out what two universes are. Okay? A universe is one that is quite distinct from the one to which all our galaxies expanded in the Big Bang. It could be a completely different one. In fact, it is a completely different one. Oh, okay. So potentially it could have like heaps and heaps of galaxies and stuff in it, and its own Big Bang, but it was actually completely different. It's all completely different stories and planets and galaxies and things from this regular one here. Yes. Oh, okay then. So would it possibly be the case that maybe, just maybe, um, that um, that in multiverse theory, like if the sun was capable of puncturing a hole in the membrane between universes, that stuff could travel from like one universe to the other, and so there could be spaceships in our universe from a different one. Yes, that's actually where the Therians came from in the first place. Oh, okay. And where did the Therians come from? The Alpha universe. And what's this regular physical one called? The Omega universe. Okay, and what's the membrane then? The space between those two universes. Okay, so a membrane isn't your fucking brain. Don't know if you noticed, but your brain is a lot smaller than that. Anyway, so let's have a look at what's really bizarre about pareidolia. Okay, pareidolia is a very interesting experience. So, if you were to have a look at the some of the images of the clustering of the galaxies and the sort of, they're not energy threads, okay? The spiritualists and the New Ages. So this needs to be pointed out because sometimes you have to deal with those ideas, okay? Okay, they're not energy threads, okay? They're particle streams, okay? Okay. So they're bits of stuff flying around, okay? There's bits of stuff flying around. So and the spaces between galaxies. Okay, sometimes there's particle streams. You might think a particle is very, very small, and it is, but we're talking about a lot of fucking particles, like a shit ton. Okay, and so basically, um, okay, so basically what happens there, right, is when you take a photo of something from very, very far away, okay, all the information sort of condenses, so you don't actually see its detail, you don't see its diversity, you don't see its variety. And it might start to look like there's a repeated pattern. It might start to look like it's almost consistent, but it's actually not really. When you zoom in, it's a different picture from when you're far away. Okay, and from far, far away, it looks like a bit like they're not energy threads, you fool. They're not energy threads. They're particle streams. A totally different idea. Okay? That maybe the universe looks like a big brain. Guess what? It doesn't. It doesn't actually resemble images of brains at all. Okay? Okay, the images are showing that they don't look like brains, okay? As in BRAINS. Okay? They don't look like that. Okay? They look like clumps of stuff with little straggly bits of stuff. Oh, really? And typically, what they're doing with those photos, they're colorizing them, just like they did with war photos. Okay. So what does that mean? That means it's different ideas. Okay. So your brain, okay, and a membrane are not the same thing. So if someone's talking about a multiverse theory, they're not talking about the left side versus the right side of the head. And when they're talking about the Alpha and the Omega, they're not talking about Vesica Pisces. They're not talking about Jesus Christ. They're not talking about Mary. They're talking about a different universe entirely, interacting with the regular one through a membrane. Right. And if they were to do so in the context of another situation where, say, they were talking about how the images of outer space sometimes resemble a brain, they would be talking about pareidolia. They wouldn't actually be saying that it literally is one. Right. Okay. Right, okay. And why would they do that? Potentially they might know what a brain looks like. You never know. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, okay. The membrane between universes is not the brain inside your head. Okay, so what's spiritual realities then? Spiritual realities have nothing to do with either types of brain. They've got nothing to do with brains inside your head or BRANES. They've got nothing to do with membranes and they've got nothing to do with regular brains. They're completely different. They're immaterial, polydualistic, and completely fucking different. And no, Kabbalah doesn't describe them properly. Have a nice day.